So welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Tonight we're talking about stress and panic attacks. So let's start with how prevalent is it, stress and panic attacks?
It's on the increase, actually. It's a bit like obesity in this country. It's like a silent epidemic. I mean, a lot of people that have panic attacks, for example, won't talk about it, generally because they feel there's a stigma to it.
Particularly men.
Yeah, no, absolutely, especially with men, because as Dawn will know, men are told things like, they've got to man up, haven't they? And they tends to mean that they're worried about being ostracized. So it's very, very common.
So you come from two very different backgrounds. Can you give us just a brief explanation of what you both do?
Are you Swiss?
Yeah, I'm a qualified counsellor, and I've been working with panic attacks from a counselling perspective for 13 years now, nearly. And I met Jean Luc, who was working in a clinic, and he dealt with panic attacks in a very different way to me. He looked at the physical and chemical side of things, whilst I, of course, as a counsellor, looked at the anxiety and why people are suffering from anxiety and what's actually going on from an emotional perspective. And we got talking and we had a few healthy debates, and we realised it was almost like a eureka moment that actually all of it is really important to treat panic attacks.
Yeah, I mean, basically, because what I was dealing with was, I originally came from a nursing background, and I've been in healthcare for about 20 years now, I think. And I realised that I was treating the chemical side of panic attacks and the physical, and Dawn was doing the emotional. And suddenly we realised together that was the missing part of the jigsaw piece. And we realized that we worked in combination. We had a very, very powerful technique, and we've seen some amazing changes in people's lives. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So can you give us maybe some tips for somebody who often experiences panic attacks?
Yeah, we have 6 things that we give people. I mean, probably Dawn run through them because a lot of them are emotional. If you do sort of the emotional side, and I can do the physical
Yeah, I
side.
think there's some general things to deal with an overall anxiety level. So I encourage people from my side to look after yourself physically and chemically, but really address what's causing the anxiety in the first place. And you need to talk about it, whether it's a friend or a family member you can trust. And if you can't do that, to talk to a qualified counsellor or psychotherapist is very helpful. But actually, if people have a panic attack coming on, excuse me, what they can do is follow the 6 steps that we recommend. The first is to acknowledge you're having a panic attack. Say to yourself, right, I'm not okay, my heart's racing. And people, particularly people who are familiar with a panic attack or have lots of them, notice it's coming on. Find somewhere immediately to sit down. If you're driving, pull over. If you're wherever you are, even if you have to sit on the floor, and ground yourself. It sounds a little bit crazy, but putting both feet on the floor is really important. And then maybe you can explain about the...
Yeah, I mean, basically one of the things that happens with panic attacks, and it's quite common, you've heard of breathing into a paper bag. The reason for that is you're getting too much oxygen into your system, because you're going into what's called fight or flight. You're getting ready to run away from the predator. And because you've got too much oxygen going into your system, you get lightheaded, tingling in your extremities, and you might even want to be sick, because when a predator's chasing you, the last thing you're going to do is stop and want something to eat. So what happens, because you're hyperventilating, you get lightheaded, and obviously you don't have a paper bag nearby, or it can be embarrassing to do that. You could be on a tube when this happens. If you basically get your hands like this, and you cup them over your mouth like that. And what you do is just breathe in gently in and out. And what we'll do then is, because you're breathing straight in after you breathed out, you're getting carbon dioxide going into your body, and it's balancing your oxygen carbon dioxide levels, and you start to feel more relaxed and calm. And because you're in that calm space, you can then follow the next steps that come after that.
So what would come after the breathing into the hands? Is there's something next?
Well, yeah, once you notice that your breathing has calmed down, I think it's important to then continue just calmly focusing on, obviously not with your hands over your nose and mouth. You then can begin to breathe normally. And some clients find it very helpful to put their hands literally on their lower rib cage and concentrate on breathing really deeply into their lower rib cage. Again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then when you've eventually calmed down, you need to have a good chat with yourself, really, and say, I'm not okay, and I really need to think about taking care of myself.
Yeah, because breathing is essential, because there's 2 types of breathing. When you breathe from your chest, It's called sympathetic breathing, and when you breathe from here, it's parasympathetic. And the problem is when you're in that fight or flight situation, you're panic, you tend to breathe here. So if you notice with a lot of things like yoga techniques and that, they tend to breathe down from here. So what we try to do is get people to learn to breathe from here. A simple thing like lying on your back and putting a heavy book or something here, and as you breathe in, the book goes up and down, will teach you and get you used to that sort of breathing.
And also not to fight the panic attack. So almost, I get people to almost visualise a wave coming at them. It's quite scary, isn't it? Thought of a wave going over you, but allow it just to come, don't fight it. Hence why grounding yourself feels really important. So some people like to hold on to something physical or a loved one, hold on to a friend or family member or a piece of furniture almost, to ground yourself and allow this wave to come over you. They're very frightening. And have a look at it. Everything they need to know is on there. We've sourced information literally from all over the world. We spent 2.5 years researching it, so hopefully it will provide a lot of help to a lot of people.
Because one of the things that we found as well, we put on there was videos, because when you're having a panic attack, sometimes the last thing you want to do is read. So we thought, well, if got videos, they can just stop and watch them. And we've also got relaxation that you can do as well, to listen to. So we've covered sort of listening and watching and the whole thing, and we go into nutrition, because nutrition is very, very important. So we give a lot of tips on nutrition and how that can change your life as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm sure your work is going to benefit a lot of people. Thank you.
Thanks.